in it. I hate to interrupt your Monday afternoon, but this is really a code red alert and alarm for all of you. It is very important for me that you would share, text, and tag as many people as you can, particularly those who are living in the greater Atlanta area, as this has immediate, dire, dramatic impact on the lives of so many people in our community. So ask that you will please share it as quickly as you can. I won't take much of your time, but will use as much as necessary to underscore the severity of what is taking place and what we have to confront and what is before us. So ask that you would please share this with as many people as you possibly can. Ask you to do that. My grandmother, late grandmother, Pauline Lucas Williams, favorite song was "I Don't Feel No Ways Tired, Come Too Far From Where I Started From." Nobody told me that the road would be easy, but I don't believe he's brought us this far to leave us now. I'm not tired, but I am just a little weary of the African American community having to be in the same fight. And the fight before us is today not necessarily about economic justice or about defunding the police, but it is, in fact, from a different angle that Black lives do matter. I'm talking about environmental justice. And in this fight for environmental justice, it suggests that it doesn't matter what your ethnicity is, that you have the right to breathe free. You have the right to a healthy existence. You have the right to be able to take full advantage of Mother Nature without hiccup and without interruption. I, many years ago, before coming to pastor at New Birth, found myself in Baltimore in a fight for environmental justice because so many young people in my city had been impacted by lead poisoning that was in fact transmitted off the walls of public housing that in large measure contributed to ADD and other learning disabilities. It was lead paint that contributed to the exponential growth of special education classes in those who are finding themselves with challenge, if comprehension, in memorization. And so we had to fight feverishly so that the right compensation might be found and young people might have their needs attended to. And then some years after that, I found that in Flint, Michigan, that there were so many who found themselves contaminated, if you can imagine, in the land of lakes. Michigan, which has more lakes than any other state in this yet to be United States of America, was in fact contaminating a heavily, densely populated city that was in fact impacting African Americans. And so I moved to Atlanta yet 18 months ago and thought that this was for me a fresh start in ministry and in life. And then on July 28th, I stumbled upon an article in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, which illuminated the fight that so many are now underscoring just a stone's throw away from the church that I'm privileged to pastor. The citizens have been mobilizing, organizing, and unifying to less fanfare, but the same fight, the same weight to contend with environmental racism. I'm appreciative to the members of New Birth who have glaringly brought this to my attention and shown me why it is that this is a red flag for so many in the community. And what is at stake is the derelict of responsibility, even with diabolical intention, implemented by Metro Green Recycling Plant. It is their aim, it is their hope to do construction in Stonecrest. And it's coming before city officials tonight, along with two other companies who want to rezone industrial land in parts of the city for an asphalt and concrete mixing facility. And both of these would be in close proximity to residential homes. This is a problem, this is a danger, and it is chemical COVID. The impact will have so many on ventilators, both physically and economically. The facility that is being proposed is within 2 miles of neighborhoods and schools, adversely impacting children, mothers, and families. The same way it is that I have pause and reservation about schools opening because of COVID. The reality is those who are going in that school would be able to leave, but those who live in the Stonecrest community would be sentenced to a life of misery, dis-ease, discomfort, and infection. The streets in the city, Stonecrest, are already narrow. They can't handle truckloads with concrete, construction, and demolition debris. You've got to be mindful that my predecessor fought years just to get an exit for our church. Some 10 years did he fight just to get an exit so that congestion would be minimized, toxic fumes would not pile up, and traffic would not find themselves overwhelmed. And after a 10-year fight, we just got that lifted and corrected under my tenure within the last year. How in the world do they think that this is plausible? I have absolutely no idea. The roads are already in need of repair. And if they, the city of Stonecrest, turn another blind eye, we'll be blind with cataracts, overlooking willfully what is a danger to our community, our city, and might I say, to our children. Metro Green Recycling has already been cited by DeKalb County for not being in compliance with wastewater standard and policies. So we have logical and rational questions. If this company is a suitable partner for Stonecrest in this community, how, when they have already proven that they are not trustworthy to the county? Environmental racism is real. I know that we often hear about food insecurity. We hear about inequitable education. We hear about health disparity. But environmental racism has not caught hold in our community, even though it is very real and is amongst us. Stonecrest deserves better. DeKalb deserves better. And God knows, as a whole, the African-American community deserves more in the backdrop of a pandemic. Stonecrest, our city, is 93% African-American, and the vast majority of those who are in leadership for Stonecrest, from the mayor down to the city council, are overwhelmingly Black. Sociologically, I cannot agree with the term of Black on Black crime. But if it were to be so, then this is case positive of what it looks like. We want Stonecrest to know, DeKalb to know, the mayor, the city council to know, Georgia to know, and the world to know before it goes down that New Birth is not a church that's going to roll over and play dead. And Jamal Bryant is not a pastor that will be mute in a lane that demands and requires prophetic responsibility and apostolic outcry. I have a great deal of respect and admiration for my mayor, Mayor Leary, CEO Thurman, who I believe are great leaders and great men. And as a consequence, I am pulling on their integrity, their moral fiber, their spiritual compass to shut this down immediately. This is what democracy looks like. I am pleading with the powers that be on behalf of the people who put them in power, that this is a course of action that we cannot follow, and it is not forgivable. This evening, when it is that the power brokers meet and convene, this is an urgent imperative. This is what Dr. King decried from Montgomery, Alabama, as the urgency of now, that something has to be done, something must be done. And the thing that has to and must be done is that we will not let Metro Green come into the city of Stonecrest and bring in sickness, peril, and disease. The price is too much, and our lives are too valuable for us to, in fact, come to this juncture in history, this tick of the watch, and feel as if this is something that is palatable and digestible. I want you to know, as a new citizen, that I am just echoing the sentiments of citizens who have been in this city and this county for years before it was ever a thought for me to put my belongings in a moving truck. So Sir Walter Riley was right. We can see further when we stand on the shoulders of giants. I stand on the shoulders of the nameless and faceless concerned citizens of Stonecrest to say it cannot happen. It will not happen. It shall not happen. We're not going to let nobody turn us around. Forward ever, backward never. In this election year, while it is that we're filling out our census, while we're 88 days before the election, tonight the revolution begins so that we can impeach environmental injustice in our community, so that we might, in fact, actually have some snapshot of seeing what America claims to be on paper, the land of the free and the home of the brave. If you'll join me in this fight, you'll join me in this crusade, join me in this challenge, I need you, please, to tag this, share this with every elected official in DeKalb County. Every family member you have that lives in Atlanta, pass this over to them, because literally thousands, yet millions of lives are at stake. And what we do tonight will set the tone, the barometer, the temperament, and the pace of what will happen in days to come. Reinhold Niebuhr said elected officials can only do what the citizens allow them to do. Let us not allow them to move forward. Let's stop here so the city of Stonecrest in DeKalb County can go to new heights of finding environmental justice that still has not arrived for the citizens of Flint and still is left waiting for the citizens of Baltimore, but will be found for the citizens of Stonecrest. And we begin tonight. I appreciate your time, but I desire your partnership and I appreciate your prayers. Have a good night, and please stay on the wall. Don't compromise, and share this with every person in Atlanta and those who are in DeKalb County.